everybody, and welcome back to the MacNac YouTube channel. Today we're bringing you a new project that we've been working on this past few weeks. This is a research and development project that we're thinking about launching as a product in the near future. We're taking a used, dried-in shipping container. It's a 20-foot container, and we are converting that into a yoga studio slash batting cage, on-site batting cage storage area for a pitching machine, and possibly an editing station for the client as well. So tag along. This should be a few parts to this series. Pretty cool project. Right here you can see Cody drilling the sonotube holes. So he'll be laser leveling and putting some sonotubes in and filling it with concrete. And then you'll see in the video the delivery of the container and the cutting of the openings, and then the start of the cedar wood deck. Pretty cool project. We're excited for this one. Getting all the materials in right now. So this will be part one of probably a part 4 series. Having said that, I hope everybody enjoys, and let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts or questions on what we're doing. We'll be going over some of the items here later in the video, kind of explaining what we're doing. Otherwise, just enjoy the process and have a great day. So here we've commissioned a local crane service, Snell crane, to come out and lift the container from the delivery area to the sonotubes. You can see here, these are 12-inch sonotubes, I believe, all leveled. And we've left a little bit of edge on these sonotubes, so once the container is placed on there, we'll have something to attach the joists to and keep them level. Just kind of helps with some of the strength there near the connex or the container for the deck itself. In the next few clips, you're going to see the wood ledger that we've installed. That was quite a pain, to be quite honest with you. The I-beams underneath the container are not exactly in perfect condition, so we've had to modify the wood and bend out some of those I-beams a little bit to get the ledger boards to fit in. But in the end, it worked out really, really well. This crane service, this made things a lot easier. We tried to use our excavator, but it was just too large of a unit to lift with the excavator. So Snell Crane did an amazing job. Good pricing. If you're in the area, recommend them highly. We use them on some of our government projects as well. So you can see here they're getting it kind of lined up. They'll lift it a little bit more and reposition it a little bit later on, but otherwise it's pretty much in its final resting position. So one of the first things our guys did was put in some of the deck posts for the layout of the deck, and then pour this concrete slab. This will make it easier and safer to get in and out of this container while they're working. Remember, we have to cut out some openings and then store the tools in here as well during inclement weather, which we've run into a little bit this past couple weeks. But here they are. I believe it's a 4x6 slab, real simple. One of our guys is pretty new to the processes, so we're kind of letting him take the reins on some of this as well. He's doing a great job out there. And yeah, so pretty simple slab. Here you can see the posts, and you can see Cody, he's kind of lining up some of his cuts. You didn't show it, but we're gonna have a, as you can see, a 6-foot sliding glass door, residential door, and then we also found on Craigslist a really good deal on some 3-foot by 6-foot windows, slide open horizontal windows that we'll be putting in. And what Cody did to make it easier to cut straight lines and mark off straight lines is he knew where the door would be. We already laid that out on the drawings, and what he did was cut out a section to create a template that would go up against the siding and follow the corrugation. And what that does is allow you to trace your lines perfectly and then get those cuts. We were debating on using a plasma cutter on this. Ultimately, we went with a 4-inch grinder with some cutoff wheels. This material eats your cutoff wheels pretty quickly. You can see Roberto here cutting the line for the sliding glass door, and the cutoff wheels though create a really straight, nice, clean edge versus like a plasma cutter that would really have to be cleaned up, especially on something like this. But here's Roberto cutting the door, and you can see some inside shots here, and you see right there in the middle that little patch, that little opening that was cut out, and that was used as a straight edge template that Cody had made. So you can see here, it's a slow process. It eats up a lot of blades, but it turns out to be a really clean cut in the end, and you'll see that here. So here you can see Cody, they've got the rest of the cuts pretty much done, left a little bit of meat so the door stays and doesn't fall on them, but he's using just a cordless Sawzall or reciprocating saw here. He switches here to the grinder. I believe the batteries were just dying out too quick on the cordless units, but he's cutting the bottom portion here, and then coming up you'll see him actually grind the rest of it down after the door is taken off. So here's where we're at after cutting out the sliding glass door. You can see the lines are actually really straight. The siding of this container will be exposed, so we wanted the appearance of the cuts to be as perfect as possible. And here you can see the ledger boards and how we did it. We stacked those there, got it right up against the siding, so the deck is going to turn out really nice. This container is pretty abused and beat up, as you can see, so it's actually not perfectly square. So we've had to kind of make some modifications with the layout of the deck. But you can see here the ledgers are sitting on top of the sonotubes perfectly, and gives some room for the joists to come across as well. We've got the layout of the deck all done completely as well. So we're kind of just walking around here, showing what we've got going on. This side of the connex, or the container, is pretty out of square. So the deck has to be modified, the joists of the deck have to be modified a little bit to accommodate for the out of square. Ultimately it turned out really well. So we're using pressure treated for all of the framing of the deck, and then cedar for the all the visible portions. You can see here Cody's kind of contemplating the cutting of the back of the container because the weather's starting to get pretty bad. But all in all, it's turning out pretty good. This is the same client that has that jacuzzi in the other videos. Pretty cool process. Here's the quote-unquote finished concrete slab, just something really simple, showing that the doors here clear, which is great. And this gives a safer portion to walk in and out of the container. So moving on to the inside of the container, I just wanted to show these cuts. We measured out the Connex, but then we actually modified this by about an inch or two. We wanted the cuts to land at the same spot on the corrugation. So here you can see about an inch and a half from that corrugation seam or bend, and on the other side, same thing. This allows a more consistent placement of the door, and sealing it will be a lot more consistent as well. For sealing this door, we're speaking with a local metal supplier about some of the window flashing that's used for like pole barns and metal sided buildings when people put openings in those. So luckily they're here locally, about 20 minutes away, and if there's anything custom that they need to bend for us, they'll be able to do that as well. So you can see those lines on the side of the container that are perfectly straight, thanks to that template that Cody had made there. So here I'm just kind of showing, we did run some PVC conduit for the electrical and the data. Put some marking tape in there just in case in the future the client needs to kind of see where those lines are. I don't think they'll be digging beyond this, but this runs all the way up the hill to the ICF shop we built a few years ago for them, and it'll go into the back of the shop there, tie into the panel, and then here we'll have a sub panel, electrical sub panel as well in the shipping container itself, to power all the outlets, the lights, and some of the accent lighting and string lighting that we'll have later on as well. It's kind of the path that the conduit takes up the hill to the back of the back of the shop here, and it's not terminated or punctured through yet, but you can see up there that back portion of that shop will be able to core through the ICF and the concrete wall and tie into the panel in the wood shop there. So you can see Roberto is cutting out the one of the windows here next to the sliding glass door on the face of it, or face of the container. And same process, doing a pretty good job. We haven't built the deck yet on purpose. We didn't want these metal panels to fall after the cut and damage the wood decking, so had these guys do this ahead of time. You can see the weather is pretty terrible here right now, but they got that out, and that panel fell. That would put a big gouge in some nice cedar. We source our cedar for the deck here from Gray Lumber, local company, really high quality lumber. Some fair pricing as well. They've always been kind of been on our side for a lot of our projects, which is great. We haven't sourced the paint yet, but we're going between Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams for a direct to metal paint. This will help. It's kind of similar to Rust-Oleum. Direct to metal, it should seal up any of the rust. Of course, we'll grind off any of the surface rust, but that should provide a pretty long life for the exterior color of the container itself. So Roberto here is cutting out the, I guess you could call it the side window. All of these windows are 3 foot by 6 foot horizontal. And the reason we did that was the yoga studio that we're putting in will have a pretty high quality vinyl mat on the floor and the first 4 feet of the walls. So half of this container, the first 10 feet of this 20-foot container, will be the quote-unquote yoga studio, and it'll have the vinyl matted floor and then vinyl matted walls for the first 4 feet above it. So we had to place these windows higher up than anybody would typically do. We originally were going to put a picture window in here, but since the client wanted a yoga studio with protection on all sides, just in case somebody, falls or anything along those lines, they can hit that padded wall for the first 4 feet. We will be finishing off the interior of this container with, it'll be framed out with insulation and a nice tongue and groove look. So it'll be kind of an industrial, modern, Scandinavian style. You'll see that we'll have some string lines or some aviation cable pulled for some shade sails. That'll be really nice, and then some really high quality string lights that'll light up the area, and some deck lighting and whatnot. So here we are. We have 2 of those cut out. Here's Cody. We've already started working on the deck here. You can see that he radiused this deck. Really, really cool look, and he did a great job. But he's cutting these 2x6 cedars to follow that radius of the deck. So just kind of a quick look at how he does it with the jigsaw. It's pretty simple. If you can keep a straight cut, then it's going to look great. This is Cody showing how he's cutting out the posts on the cedar decking. He uses the skill saw on both sides here, and then you'll see here he actually uses his multi-tool to create a perfectly clean cut. And then even though it's a great look and perfect cuts around that post, he actually finishes it off with some cedar trim, which looks really nice. And there's a shot of the multi-tool just going straight in. So if you're doing this on your own, 2x6s work great. If you do all your measurements right, you're not going to have to rip any of these boards. Cut straight from the edge, and you'll get a perfect gap every time as well for the next board to come. Here's a product that I picked up purposefully. In my opinion, this will turn a 30-year deck into a 50-year deck. Typically with cedar or wood decks, you'll see that they start to fail. A lot of that's because the fasteners are drilled in from the top. We did use some top fasteners on the outside boards, deck boards, but for the rest of these are the hidden fasteners, the camo fasteners. You can see that there's a thread on the bottom and a thread on the top. Thread on the bottom is blunt, so it doesn't crack the wood. Thread on the top is reverse thread, so it sucks it tight. What's nice is that they're hidden fasteners, and what happens is the water does not pool on top of them, and it doesn't create a weak point for water to come into. With traditional deck screws, if they're on top, the water will sit on top, and that will deteriorate where the hole is that you drilled for those screws. And that's when your deck boards start to become loose, and then you eventually just kind of deteriorate. Here you can see the slits that Cody cut on this pressure treated board to bend it. That worked really well. I think they're about a half an inch or an inch, every inch for those slits, and then that allows you to kind of bend it in and get you that radius. So here's Roberto putting in the camo screws. We'll show here, really, really cool system. It gives you the spacing and the gap, and it allows you to line up and drill on both sides. So he's just holding it tight with his knee, drilling it, and then you just pull the handle to release it. You get a perfect gap every time, and then the fasteners are on the are diagonal on the seams themselves, so you don't actually see them when the deck is put together. It's really cool. $50. That camo jig is really, really handy. Kind of an all-in-one tool. We really like it. There's kind of the finished look. You can see that, I mean, very, very clean look, not having to worry about any of the fasteners showing on top or having to line them up perfectly. They're all hidden, which is great. Yeah, this was some nice cedar from Gray Lumber. So here's kind of just some overhead shots. Feel free to enjoy. I'll throw some music up here. But you can kind of see this is taking place. There's the batting cage that we built with the galvanized poles. We're going to have a pitching machine out there as well, and be able to store the pitching machine through the two swing out doors that are on the container itself. So all we have left after this is to finish the decking. The guys, I know as of this point in time, are pretty much done with the railing. We're going with an aviation cable rail, and then they're going to cut out this rear window as well. And from there we'll start framing in the interior. Now that we have the deck built and some steps leading up the deck, will be a lot safer for them to work in and get the windows in and out, get the framing done. And from there we'll get the paint and the exterior finishes on, and we'll be off to the races. So be on the lookout. If you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to subscribe. You know, we're a pretty small channel, but we're growing, and a lot of people like these videos. Shipping container homes or Connex homes are becoming pretty popular. It's a dried-in structure right off the bat. They're used. They're a couple $1,000s. You'll be able to store everything inside of it. So if you're interested in something like this, or purchasing a kit, or even a finished product, let us know. We're kind of gauging the interest. We'd like to be able to offer these to people, or to the public, if they're interested. Like I said, this is a studio, or a yoga studio, that someone would be able to use, but you could use this for a small hunting cabin, or you know, pretty much anything. I mean, it's just a private spot that's fully dried in. It's stable. It's not wood, so you don't have to worry about the walls breaking down over time. It can be left out in the elements, especially if you seal it with a nice paint, or a nice primer and paint. But pretty cool project. If you have any comments, questions, let us know. You know, the window flashing will be next. I'd love to show that. I've seen lots of different ways people are doing the windows and door openings on these containers. Some of them look like they'll work temporarily but leak over time. So we're going with a more traditional approach that people use on metal-sided buildings. I think if we simplify it, instead of welding a bunch of square tubing to this and having exposed welds and worrying about rust in those areas and leakage, I think this will work out really well with the C-channel flashing that's available for metal siding. So like I said, subscribe, like the video, share it with anybody. If you have any questions, once again, let us know. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.